It's Mom and Pop Video Shop.
Welcome, either back or for the first time, to the Mom and Pop Video Shop. I am your clerk, Joel.
And I'm your clerk, Tyson.
Yes, we're here. It's Friday night. What do you like to say?
Your Dominoes and your girlfriend are cooling down in the 1990 Ford Probe. So you've rushed in, you need something to rent, and you're like, guys, I got time to think. Just give me something.
Funny you say not time to think. I have just the movie for you.
Really? Oh, wait, do I get to guess?
Yes.
All right, let me try.
1992.
Okay.
Horror comedy. More emphasis on the comedy than the horror.
Brain dead. Brain scan. Brain.
No.
Okay.
No, not even in the ballpark. Although it does actually start with a B. It's funny.
I don't know.
It is 1992's
Oh,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
cool.
Now, I'm doing this one because I'm lazy, and we covered this on Jay of the Dead's new horror movies.
Okay.
As I'm recording this, about a week ago. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to cover it for Mom and Pop as well. So go over to Jay of the Dead's new horror movies and check out our much more in-depth discussion. Now, when we recorded that, Michelle Trachtenberg was still in the world.
Yeah.
She, as we record this, unfortunately is not. And I don't want to give anything away for the TV series, but Michelle Trachtenberg, if you don't know, is an actress who's only 39 years old, passed away, and it effing sucks. So I don't want to make this a downer. I just wanted to bring that up because I didn't want to not mention it and be like, oh, we're talking about Buffy. I mean, obviously we're aware of that. But in that episode, we didn't mention it because...
You know what just dawned on me?
What?
There's a lot of dead cast members in this
Yes, there are.
movie, and most of them suck. I mean, that they're gone.
Oh.
No, sorry. It sucks that
Wow.
we lost most.
And just if you're not into the gallows
Yes.
humor, we are not the channel for you.
Where's that grave at?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
God, man. All right, so
You know what I mean.
I know what you meant. Yes.
It sucks that all those cast members are gone.
So, Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1982, off the back of the box. Kristy Swanson, Donald Sutherland, Paul Reubens, and Luke Perry. God, you're right. Dude!
No, keep going.
Star in this funny action-packed fright fest for pampered cheerleader Buffy, played by Swanson, who thankfully is still in the world.
Yes.
The only thing worse than discovering that her town is infested with vampires is being told it's up to her to defeat them all, including their creepy leader, Rutger Hauer.
Yes.
Dear God, man.
And his creepy sidekick.
Paul Reubens, I'm sure he said it.
Okay.
Yeah, but with help from a mysterious stranger, played by Sutherland, and a handsome mechanic, played by Perry, Buffy's soon kicking serious vampire butt in this cult classic. Now, I saw this when it came out. Did you?
I believe in the theater, yeah.
Okay. I saw it. I think I saw it at a drive-in.
Oh,
May have
cool.
been the Havendale, which no longer exists, unfortunately, in Winter Haven. And at the time, it had been 92. I was in high school. I was a big horror fan. Always loved horror comedy. And I didn't like this movie. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I remember at the time, I found it just not, on paper, it should have been really interesting to me, but it just didn't work for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just a memory, it's a sense memory of how I felt. Then I know I at least rented it at least one more time and still kind of felt the same way. The show comes out in 97, and that's a year after Scream. And I was big into Fango, and at this point I'm, still, trying to be an indie filmmaker, blah, blah, blah. And then the show pops off, and I remember reading the interviews with Whedon, who said, hey, because he is all but disowned this movie completely. He hated it. Because he wrote it to be much more in line with what the show ended up being.
Yeah.
And then they just completely, the studio interfered, yada, like they always do. So, when the show came out in 97, it was like a half-season replacement type of show, and I remembered really liking it a lot, being like, wow, this is... And so I think years later, I may have then gone back, but I haven't seen this in 15, 20 years.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah, but I just remember thinking, yeah, I definitely like this more than the movie. Now, a lot of people started off with the show, and then they come to the movie, and 9 times out of 10, they don't like the movie.
So, can I make a confession?
Yes.
I've never seen a single episode of the show.
Okay, I've seen... The only person who is a bigger fan of Buffy that I know is Ron Martin.
Okay.
He's seen I've seen every episode, and some of them multiple times. He's seen every episode at least 3 times.
I'm not making a joke about this too. I always growing up, it was always like a girl show.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It was
See,
a girl show.
and I never thought of it that way. I loved it. I thought the dialogue was smart. I love all of the characters.
And meanwhile, now I make like Sex in the City candles.
And I'm not judging you for that. Just like I know you won't judge me for my love of Buffy and for an Angel, which I thought was a great show as well. Yeah, I love both of those shows dearly. So revisiting this, okay, I went in with an open mind, and I know there are people out there that this is their like childhood, they love it kind of movie. Mr. Watson. I don't want to give anything away, but I think this is one of these movies for him.
Okay.
From Jay the Dead's New Horror Movies, if you don't know what I'm talking about. This movie does not hold up. For me.
Wow.
I know, dude. It's not that I hate, it's nostalgic. But it's like, unlike C&D, this is like one of those movies where I'm watching it going, yeah, this is really just, I can see how it could have been better. But the big sin this thing does is what Tremors, which we covered last week, if we're assuming I put these out in the order we did them.
Can I finish your thought?
Yes.
So, and I'll just be honest, for me, when I watch a horror comedy, for one thing, I need it to be more horror than comedy, and I need there to be a very distinct
line.
Exactly.
It's like when the horror happens, even if the characters are comedic, they need to react accordingly. And to me, that never happens here. It never feels like there's any real stakes. It never feels like... I wish I could own that, like as if I was clever. I'm not clever. Yeah, that. So, like, and like everyone talked about, they love that part, and I love Paul Reubens. Like, let's just be clear on that. And that part is funny in and of itself, but it's almost like either go all in with like that level of absurdity. So they kind of try to it's weird. It's like it never knows what it wants to be, and so as a result, that whole scene. Spoiler alert, where Paul Reubens as a vampire, he gets staked at the end. Like his whole like it's very breaking the fourth wall almost. He doesn't like wink at the camera, but that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so
it was too like
broad. It's
Marx Brothers.
Yeah. It's like even Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein. Like that movie is like more of a comedy than a horror movie.
Well, you said it sets the tone. Yeah. I mean,
but,
it's like from the get go.
Yeah, but even then, with that movie, when you think about it, when like. Bela Lugosi does not play Dracula as a goof. Lon Chaney Jr. does not play the Wolfman as a goof, right? I mean, none of those characters are played as like Rutger Hauer in this. It's not dude. It's Rutger freaking Hauer, the Hitcher. This guy is terrifying just when he looks at you.
And he's
like not scary at all in this.
Not his first and only time. Would be first time maybe, but not the only time playing a master vampire either. You know what I'm talking about?
Trying to remember.
It was a remake of a TV series, also a TV series with Rob Lowe.
Oh, he was in the Salem Slot?
Yes.
Was it the remake with Rob Lowe?
Yeah, he plays Barlow.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I actually like that. I remember liking that, too. And I don't remember. I haven't seen it.
The point is, when you got Rutger Hauer as a king vampire,
it should be scary.
There's some opportunities there.
And it's funny. Like some people, I never even got a chance to really say this in the review I did with Jay and company, but Swanson to me actually is not bad. Like she's very Valley Girl. She's a little bit more ditzy than Sarah Michelle Gellar plays it.
No, but I think her performance is
good.
The best.
I do. And there's a moment, because there's moments you can tell her and Donald Sutherland for that matter, like they're almost in a different movie. Like they're trying to play a little bit, even though she's doing the Valley Girl thing, they're still trying to play a little bit straight with the horror elements. And there are a couple jokes that were very Whedon-esque. I
wouldn't even remember them because
the only one that like I laughed at was when Paul Reubens' character is, spoiler alert, loses an arm. And it's later on in the movie. Luckily, he doesn't grow it back or anything.
I know what you're saying.
And he goes, "Say something I can't say. Something I can't do." She goes, "Clap." And it's just the way she does it. It's so Buffy. Like that was a Buffy line said like Buffy.
I do remember that.
And that's it. But other than that, man, it's like funny you bring up Salem Slot. There's a moment, I won't say who it's with, but two characters that are like friends, where one of them's been turned into a vampire and he's floating outside the window of another character, and that character knows. The one who's still human knows he's on the second floor. He knows his friend shouldn't be floating 20 feet above the ground, but he acts more like he's just like confused and like, as opposed to like the Salem's Lot thing, where Salem's Lot, that's like one of the most terrifying moments where the kid's friend is like at the window, and you could have totally played that straight. Even though the character that's a vampire is meant to be a little funny, you could have still had that moment been really creepy. And that's the thing about Tremors or Frighteners. That's another movie I always go back to. Frighteners is a comedy horror in a way, but when the horror happens and like when you realize what it's really about, it's pretty jacked up, man.
Lost Boys.
How
many funny Corey?
Fright Night.
You know what I mean?
Friggin' Fright Night. Dude, I'm sorry. When I was a kid, especially, Evil Ed terrified this like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or when, I always want to call her Marcy. But Amy. Yeah, the girlfriend. Like that face. And, oh, my God. And Chris Sarandon is chilling. But that's the thing. I can't
Vampire in Brooklyn? We covered that one.
Yeah, there's
like
actually
Vampire in Brooklyn. Like it is definitely.
I will say
probably more of a horror comedy.
I didn't come to that movie till much later. It wasn't until we did that Spooky Flicks Fest a couple years ago. I actually like that movie and feel like it's really. It's not perfect. Like it's definitely not there to me like a Lost Boys or Fright Night or the.
That's my vampire horror comedy because I even to this day I have a hard time even referring to Fright Night as a comedy.
It's not. It's more of a horror. It's a horror.
I've never really understood that.
You've got horror with comedy in it, and then you've got comedies with horror elements. But which is what
this is not the video, but we need to have it. We're going to do a Fright Night, like a big in-depth Fright Night thing because I want to. There's a lot of that I want to cover.
Yeah, but both.
I'm not going to get into
I love
it
Fright
now
Night too.
These guys will.
Yeah,
hate us.
Yeah, they're assuming they're still watching. But anyway, point is that Buffy and I know there's somebody out there watching. This is like your favorite movie, and I get it. Like I get it. I feel like my attitude about all movies is no matter what movie, it's someone's favorite, right? So I can respect that. But what makes me sad is I want to love this movie. It's a 2-taper for me.
It is a 2-taper for me.
Yeah, like it's yeah for you too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's meaning that it's not a 1-taper. Look, it would take a lot for me. English Patient would be a 1-taper. I'm not joking. Where I'd be like, man, F this movie, and I bring it back. I want my money back.
I feel really bad for the dude whose girlfriend in Domino's is cooling down in the 1990s.
I know, she's like, dude, can you get on with this, bro?
Yeah. Although, depending on your girlfriend, this is probably like the perfect.
Oh, it might be. It might be. And it is a good like gateway horror kind of get like little kids or something. I just think most people ask yourself watching it. How much of it is like C&D, cinematic nostalgia disorder? And it's fine if it is. Look, I got plenty of movies I got C&D for, but it's also being aware enough to admit that's what it is. It is not a great movie. It is a movie that I am grateful to. Like the reason why it isn't a 1 to me is because if it isn't for this movie, we don't have that show, and that show is legendary. To anybody,
no, this isn't a 1. It's
not a 1.
It's a 2.
You might even say 2.5 if I'm gonna be, but it's not a 3 to me. It's not like I would not have kept this all weekend. I'd probably watch it once and be like, I'm not watching this again. I'm going to go get something else. And I'm taking it back the next day. I would ask for my money back, but I definitely
I'm going to go out on a limb and maybe speak. I'm speaking for a lot of people here and probably shouldn't, but I feel like for diehard horror fans, horror comedy #1 is a tough...
It's a tough sell.
And I think this in particular, like just the age I was and my love of vampire movies.
Yeah.
Again, for me, if I wanted a vampire comedy, I wanted Vampire in Brooklyn, not Buffy.
Yeah. All right, well, here we are, folks. So, all that being said, let us know in the comments below. If you are a huge fan of Buffy, and you have your reasons why, I'd love to hear them. It's totally I absolutely respect all opinions here when it comes to that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, it's an opinion.
It's your prerogative.
Totally is, and do what you want to do. But on that note, leave us a comment and make sure you swing on by Phantom Foundry Wax.
Yes, my wax, my candle company, and pick you out do I have any vampire? I'm trying to think if I have any vampire.
If you don't, you need to make one.
I know I do. I'm sure it's on the drunken Excel spreadsheet.
Probably.
Yeah, check out Phantom Foundry Wax Company.
All the links will be underneath in the description for you to check that out.
Make your house smell good.
And eventually, maybe he'll have some kind of coupon code or something to really incentivize you to...
I'm always throwing stuff out there. So follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he usually puts up like...
Co.
Yeah. Percentages off and whatnot.
Yeah,
so let us know, comments below, and until we meet again here in the video shop, remember our love of...
I already said it. Vampire in Brooklyn.
Never stops. And it's not lost on me that somebody out there's going to be like, you hated on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, but you like Vampire in Brooklyn?
Yes, Eddie Murphy.